Welcome to the Becoming Superhuman podcast, where we interview extraordinary people to bring you the skills and strategies to overcome the impossible. And now, here's your host, Jonathan Levy.
Have you been listening to the past episodes and been inspired by some of the guests that we've had who are able to share their knowledge, share their expertise with the world and earn incredible livings doing so? From the best-selling authors to the online course creators to the podcasters, do you want to know how to do this? And do you have an urge to inspire people and earn a living by being financially independent? If so, this episode is brought to you by Just the Right Course. It's called Branding You, and it's my collaboration with Dr. Anthony Metivier, who himself is an expert in the field. We've gotten together and we've put together everything we know about creating a dynamic, cross-pollinating brand ecosystem of books, podcasts, courses, mailing lists, blogs, you name it, and we teach you how to do it. To check it out and get a 95% off coupon plus a 30-day money-back guarantee, check out jle.vi/brand and start becoming financially superhuman today. Greetings, super friends, and welcome to this week's show. Guys, if you listen to any other podcast besides this one, you probably know all about today's guest. In fact, 3 years ago, he was doing commercial real estate after bouncing around from the military, where he served in Iraq, to law school, to corporate life, tech startups. The thing is, you guys, he was hating all of it. And as he describes himself, he failed his way through the 6 years after the military. All this time, he was searching for a calling and he was eager to do something that both inspired him and others. What makes him so interesting and so perfect for this show is that today he's largely and rightfully credited as one of the major names in podcasting, and he's running what is probably, in my opinion, the most successful daily podcast in the business called Entrepreneur on Fire. You guys, he's interviewed all the greats from the Tim Ferrisses to the Seth Godins. He's created successful products and taught tens of thousands of people, including myself, how to launch, grow, and monetize podcasts and webinars. What's so amazing to me, guys, is he's doing something that he loves, and he's making millions of dollars a year doing it. He's also actually transformed what it means to be financially independent and successful in this business, because millions of those dollars are coming in as profits. So in this episode, I have to admit that I had two goals. Because I'm currently working on a new course and a podcast, which by the time you guys hear this will both probably be live, around personal branding and teaching podcasting authors and online instructors how to go multi-platform. I really wanted to get the absolute best tips for podcasting and hosting webinars and, of course, creating your own successful content ecosystem. Though, of course, because this episode was first and foremost intended for you guys, the Becoming Superhuman audience, I also wanted to squeeze out as much inspirational and motivational awesome sauce as possible. Unfortunately, we only had 20 minutes because John and I ran a little long with me on his show, but I think I struck a very nice balance. I think that the episode is going to provide tons of value, no matter which angle you're coming at it from. And I think in the short format, you guys will learn a ton and get inspired and decide if entrepreneurship is for you. So without any further ado, Mr. John Lee Dumas. Mr. John Lee Dumas, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing?
Jonathan, I'm excited to be here. I am prepared to ignite.
Awesome. Excited to have you. So I have to tell you, I've been looking up to your materials. I've learned from your podcasting stuff. I've learned from your monetization stuff. And I'm in the process of learning from your webinar stuff. So really excited to hear what you have to say and share with our audience.
Yeah, we're going to get you webinaring in 2015, guaranteed.
It's going to happen.
You might not like it, and that's fine, but I want you to know for sure.
Yes, sir. So, John, one of the things I really love about your story is you pivoted at some point, right? You were a military guy. You went into a couple of different things, real estate being the last one. And at some point, you said enough. And you decided let me connect this for you. For me, I think choosing a happy life and choosing financial independence as a way to be happy, that's superhuman to me. And that's something that not everyone can do, which makes it even more superhuman. So take me through that mental journey to essentially being at a job you hate, to going into podcasting, to almost immediately becoming one of the world's top authorities on entrepreneurship and small business.
It was a mental journey for sure. So when I graduated college at 22, I spent the next 4 years as an active duty officer, which was great. I really enjoyed it. I did a 13-month tour of duty in Iraq. So there were definitely some tough times as well. But then at 26, there I was, no debt because I had an Army scholarship, a decent savings. The world was my oyster. But then I promptly failed for the next 6 years. Went to law school. I quit after one semester. Corporate finance, commercial real estate, it just wasn't for me. And I couldn't get my head around, why did I keep failing at all these great opportunities, these great traditional career paths? And looking back, it's so obvious. I just didn't have any passion in any of those fields at all. So luckily, I had a little aha moment in 2012, which is when I was 32 years old. And that was to launch the first 7-day-a-week podcast, interviewing today's most inspiring and successful entrepreneurs. So I did that. It was an absolute blast. We've had a lot of success. And, I really kind of point to one quote that changed everything for me, Jonathan, and it was from Albert Einstein. Try not to become a person of success, but rather a person of value. And looking back, my 6 years of failure, I was trying to become a person of success, chasing fame, fortune, money, fail, fail, fail. When I finally flipped it on its head and said, I'm just going to deliver a free, valuable, and consistent podcast 7 days a week, that's when the success actually started to follow the value that I was giving. And then the money followed, and then the happiness as well. All these things came from becoming that person of value. And, here we sit today, over 1,000 episodes, generating over 1 million listens per month, over $250,000 a month in revenue, and frankly, just having a blast.
Incredible. I think there's so much in what you just said, John, because it's not only, if you believe in the law of attraction and all that great stuff, where if you give, you get, but it's also, if you look at the way the market economy works, those who are not creating value are not earning, right? You're literally earning for the value you put out there. I think for anyone in the audience who's considering entrepreneurship, start there. Start with where you can create value.
Totally.
But of course, even with all the value you've created, John, there are a lot of other elements to becoming a success and to becoming, as honestly, if I can say it, as huge as you've become. And I'd like to know, it's interesting because you do a podcast on entrepreneurship and you extract these lessons from these top entrepreneurs. How much of the success you've had so far comes from the fact that you're dealing with these entrepreneurs and learning their lessons and wisdoms versus just old-fashioned, dogged hard work?
There's definitely a combination of the both, but I will say I get asked all the time, John, who are your mentors? Who's your mentor? And, my response to that is always, listen, I have 8 different mentors every single week because every Tuesday I do an interview back to back every single hour on the hour for 8 straight hours where I'm interviewing an inspiring and successful entrepreneur. And during that conversation that I'm having, they take on a mentorship role for me. I mean, Jonathan, you were on Entrepreneur on Fire, and your episode is going to be coming out in a little while. When I had you on my show, you were my Udemy mentor. I was asking you questions about things I didn't know, and I was learning from you. And, frankly, I'm going to be able to improve my relationship with Udemy now because of it. So I've had now over 1,000 mentors, and that's huge. And that's one of the greatest benefits of being a podcast host, and often a hidden benefit because a lot of people don't realize the huge value of having these conversations so often.
That's absolutely true, John. I think a lot of people get the misconception because I teach quote unquote accelerated learning that I'm sitting in a room and reading a bunch and learning. And that's partly true, but in reality, a huge part of learning and growth is holistic learning, right? Taking in other people's opinions and other people's ideas and getting information from every source you can and acknowledging that oftentimes the best source is ask questions.
Ask. I love that.
So John, what are some of the most powerful lessons you've learned both in business and in life from the over 1,000 episodes that you've published to date?
Well, what's pretty exciting, number one, is this is going to stick with the theme that we've had, is one of the most valuable lessons by far is mentorship. And it doesn't stop there, that simple word. The key is find somebody who is where you are, who is where you want to be right now. So find somebody who is where you want to be right now, and then reach out to that person for mentorship. Because frankly, Jonathan, when I first started, Richard Branson would not have been a good mentor for me. I didn't want to be what he is. I wanted to be a successful business podcaster. So I defined a successful business podcaster and reach out to that person and ask to be mentored. And the reality is you're going to get some no's, but the beauty is that those no's are likely going to lead to recommendations and referrals of someone who's going to end up being a perfect fit for you. So fortune favors the bold. Get out there and ask. Mentorship is absolutely one of the key things that I've seen over and over again. Another massive one, Jonathan, is consistency. It seems that the people who are able to show up every single morning, do the little things right consistently, whether the ups or the downs are in play, those are the ones that are finding success in the long term. And then the third thing, to tie back in to the Albert Einstein quote, those people who are truly delivering value. We can all be flashes in the pan and strike gold quickly and win that lottery. And that's kind of what a lot of info marketers do, but that's not sustainable. And the people that provide value on that consistent basis are ones that I'm seeing building businesses and lives and really careers that they can be proud of.
Absolutely. I also want to comment, the first 2 points you made about mentors and about essentially growing and all these great things, like those don't just apply to business and they don't just apply to entrepreneurship. Consistency applies to everything, whether it's fitness, whether it's learning, whether it's breaking habits. I mean, any goal you have in your life, mentors and consistency, those are going to be things that add value and help you reach those goals. So I think it's important to recognize the applicability of the wisdom beyond just entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, John, and I think this is a question, at least the next couple of questions apply not just to our audience from Superhuman, but also for the audience with Branding You and the personal branding crowd. Do you think that everyone out there in the audience can become financially independent, can become an entrepreneur? And if so, should they?
Every single person can absolutely become financially independent if they so desire. I have no doubt about that. What will hold them back will be the imposter syndrome, that fear in their head that's saying, don't do that. Who are you to share your voice with the world, your message, your mission with the world? Now, financially independent does not mean you're making $250,000 a month. I mean, it can mean that you're making $3,000 per month because you're able to live a life where that meets your needs. And hopefully you can grow from that number. But financially independent just means that, hey, you can be doing something that you enjoy and that you have passion in doing, and it's paying your monthly expenses. So start off with a goal that's attainable. I love talking about SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, relative, and T is timely. So you have to actually put some kind of time barrier to that. Critical on every single level. And that's what I really want to get through to people is that, listen, you need to set the SMART goals. And maybe to start off, that is just $3,000 a month. Now, all of a sudden that seems attainable. Well, hey, I'm going to get there in 3 months from now. And then you start putting things into place to make it happen. And the next thing you know, you are financially independent. And should everybody be doing it? Yeah. If you have the desire to be financially independent and you have the desire to be producing content and value that you're passionate about, then the answer is yes.
And if not, there's no shame in being an employee or joining a company. There's really nothing wrong with it. But I think
nothing.
The answer there is do that soul searching and determine if you love your job because of the structure, or if you would love to be doing your job in an unstructured entrepreneurial sort of fashion.
Yeah, because entrepreneurship can be a lonely place, especially when you start. I mean, a lot of times you are just kind of on an island, especially when you're beginning and you need to learn the ropes and you need to actually build an audience for the first time and you don't really know that many people in the industry. It's tough. You don't have that water fountain to go to and to gossip at work. And some people, they look forward to talking about last night's episode of The Bachelorette every day at work with their cubicle mates, and that's fine.
Totally. I mean, if there weren't people who needed the structure, who would we hire, right? You need these really rock solid people who do well in a structured environment. I certainly rely on them in my businesses. So
totally.
John, you're known in the industry for being extremely open. I know you publish a monthly podcast explaining your revenues and everything like that. And as you've mentioned, they're quite impressive numbers. If you could break it down for me, where the larger revenue generators are coming from out of, I believe it's 3 different businesses you're running, yeah?
Basically, we publish a monthly income report every single month because we want to inspire other podcasters and entrepreneurs alike that you can deliver free, valuable, and consistent content, build an audience, and then build a business off of that audience. And that's what we've done with Entrepreneur on Fire. It wasn't easy. It wasn't overnight, but it was able to be done. And, I look back when I was first getting into the industry and I saw people like Pat Flynn who were publishing income reports. And I was really inspired that a good, genuine, kind guy doing something that he enjoyed doing, working from home, could make a significant living. I loved that. And so I wanted to be that kind of inspiration to others. And so as we sit today, we actually just had our biggest month ever in May of 2015 because we did run a couple of special promotions where we topped $500,000 in revenue for the month of May. Wow. So that was a massive month.
Congrats.
And we haven't, thank you. We haven't replicated that in June or July. But, again, that was because we were really building up to a big promotion and everything worked out really well. Now, the reality is that the majority of our income comes from Podcasters Paradise, which is our community where we teach people how to create, grow, and monetize their podcast. We've generated over $3 million to date from Podcasters Paradise alone. There's over 2,500 members within the community. It's the number one and biggest podcasting community in the world. The Facebook group is amazing. There's 200 video tutorials. We do monthly webinars with podcasting greats like Tim Ferriss, James Altucher, Ramit Sethi, Pat Flynn, Lewis Howes, Amy Porterfield, Michael Hyatt. I mean, the list goes on. I do a monthly Q&A session. I mean, it's a really awesome community where we match you up with accountability partners. There's a lot that goes into it. And because of that, it commands a really high price point, which at the time of this recording is $12.97, that we continuously increase as the value goes up within Podcasters Paradise. And so every quarter or so, we are running a Podcasters Paradise promotion where the price is going up. So we are really proud of what we've created there. Definitely does constitute a majority of our revenue. I'd say number two would be our sponsorship revenue. And we typically generate between $75,000 to $100,000 every single month on our sponsorship revenue alone. And that's the two sponsors that I have per episode, with a 15-second pre-roll and a 60-second mid-roll, meaning at some point in the middle of the show, you'll hear a 60-second sponsorship spot from one of my sponsors. So that brings in a significant revenue. Besides that, we have another community called Webinar on Fire that does 5 figures per month in revenue. We have Fire Nation Elite, which is a membership mastermind, which brings in 5 figures per month. And then we do at least $20,000 per month on affiliate revenue, where we support other and bring in other people who have great products and services and co-promote that product, that service to our audience where it makes sense. And a great example of that would be like when I had David Siteman Garland, who has a great course on creating awesome online courses. Had him on the show, did a live webinar. A couple of days later, brought 1,800 people on, signed up for the webinar. 900 people showed up live. Of that, like 185 people purchased the $1,100 or $1,200 course for just under $200,000 in revenue on that one webinar, wow, which was split right down the middle, 50-50. So David gets 100, I got 100. That was a good day's work. And that's what you can do when you've built a large audience by delivering that free, valuable, and consistent content. So that's what we want our income reports to share. And if you want to check any of them out, eofire.com/income. Each report, and there's now 23 of them, is in-depth, is detailed. It lays everything out. Every single one of them is verified by our CPA for just it being, number one, the real thing. And number two, he drops awesome tax tips in every one of these as well. So you can learn a lot as an entrepreneur too.
That's cool. I just want to draw a quick bit of emphasis for our audience. That's $100,000 in a day's work for collaborating and contributing and not coming at this like everyone out there's competition. They're competing for my customers' dollars, but rather let's grow something together. Let me share my audience with you. You share your audience with me, and together we'll collaborate and provide more value to both of our audiences together. And I think that's a great example of what's possible when you do that.
Exactly. It was amazing.
Incredible. John, let me switch gears a little bit to the superhuman stuff, because I think it's pretty clear after that example that you are a superhuman and you're teaching people how to be at least financially and entrepreneurially superhuman. Let me ask, how do you motivate yourself, set priorities, and set goals?
So for me, the motivation does come from within. I mean, I see the emails that I get every single day from people who are being inspired by my guests and by myself on Entrepreneur on Fire, which is very touching and heartwarming. And that just adds fuel to the motivation fire. But also it's just waking up every morning and knowing what's on my calendar is what I put on my calendar. And if I want to continue to earn that ability to be the captain of my own ship, to drive, the car on my journey, then I need to keep putting in the hard work and I need to be excited and passionate about it because it comes through. It's genuine. Audio and video, you can't hide. I mean, you can hide really on words on a page that you're typing, but people can sense your voice. They can see your facial expressions. If you're just not into it, they get that. And that's one thing. Some people don't love that I'm super energetic on the Entrepreneur on Fire interviews. And, my response is, well, this is not the show for you. I'm looking to inspire people that are looking for that dose of ignition, for that dose of enthusiasm that I'm going to bring every single day. And plus, I want to bring my guests up to the level. I don't want them coming on flat. I want to make sure that they come on ready to ignite. And that's why my first question to all of them is, are you prepared to ignite? I make my guests answer that question because I want them to know, A, this isn't that serious. Don't take this so seriously. Like, relax. This is supposed to be fun. We can be a little goofy, a little corny. And number two, just get out of your shell and let's have some fun here. Most people don't even need that, but those that do, it really does help them to make the most out of their 25 minutes on EO Fire.
That's fantastic. And I also love the consistency that every episode is 25 minutes. I think that's really cool. John, let me ask you this. I'm actually going to take a page out of your book as an homage to you, if you will, and hit you with a lightning round. So rapid short fire questions, if that is all right. So what book have you most given as a gift?
The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson.
Ooh, I haven't even heard of that one. So that's a good one to put in the show notes.
Definitely.
What's the biggest mistake you've made in your business?
Failing to launch when I was supposed to, which was August 15th, 2012. I delayed by 5 weeks. And the only thing that did was delay everything that I've accomplished since.
Wow. And why was that?
Fear, just terrified, thought I was going to fail.
Yeah, I think looking back, you've done very well. So
yeah, but in hindsight, but at the time, I understand when people kind of have that little fear of pushing that publish button because I definitely had it in spades.
Rock on. John, if you had to choose one or two episodes of your show that you're most proud of and would want people to listen to, which would they be?
Well, let's go to episode 1000. Kate and I did put a lot of work into that, and that is a pretty epic episode, I will say. And then let's say go to eofire.com/top10. And those are just actually 10 great episodes. You can start right at the top at number 1 and just go down from there.
Fantastic. And last question, what is next for you and the EO Fire brand?
What's next is to be better at the basics. We've really seen what works, and that's delivering free, valuable, and consistent content. And I am really looking forward to continuing to deliver on that.
Excellent. John, you've got so many products. You've been such an inspiring guest. So let me ask before we let you go, and then I want to chat with you about affiliation and see what I can learn in the next 2 minutes. But let me ask, for those who are intrigued by what you've been able to do and want to consider heading off and starting their own fire, becoming financially independent, becoming superhuman entrepreneurs, where should we send them?
Well, all the magic happens at eofire.com. You'll see some incredibly awesome and 100% free trainings. And then we have a free podcast training. We have a free webinar training right there in the sidebar. You can sign up for those. They're incredibly valuable. And again, 100% free. And that's what I really wanted to share is that we have a lot of great, awesome free resources at eofire.com. And I definitely hope your listeners take advantage.
Awesome. And we will put that in the show notes. John, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure. I've certainly learned quite a bit, and I'm sure our audience has as well.
Thanks, Jonathan.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Becoming Superhuman podcast. For more great skills and strategies, or for links to any of the resources mentioned in this episode, visit www.becomingasuperhuman.com/podcast. We'll see you next time.